Hey everybody, it's James from Neural Net Games. I'm here to talk to you about Chronicles of Drunagor, a Age of Darkness Apocalypse Adventure reprint. That's a lot. This is a game that's kickstarting right now. It's July 23rd. There's still 13 days left. And I'm going to talk through, I'm going to talk about the company. I'm going to talk through what the game is all about and some of the unique mechanics, and so that you can have a good quick template to make a decision on whether you should back this or not. I'm going to tell you what I like about it. I'm going to tell you what I don't like about it, and also I'm going to quickly walk you through how the pledge manager works, because it's actually very confusing and you might miss out on the stretch goals. And there's a couple tips I can give you to help you just navigate through it quickly. So first, let's talk about the company. So we are Creative Game Studios. So Creative Game Studios, this is their website. They're a fairly new company. I think they've, clearly got some experienced people in the team, though, people who are experienced in the board game industry, because they're doing a lot of things right. If you look here, this is the original Chronicles of Drunagor, Age of Darkness. It's got a 9.1 rating. The reviews all over the place are very, very strong for this game, so they're doing a lot of things right, and we'll go through exactly what they're doing right, but, it's got a very high level of miniature quality. It's got a lot of different cool, interesting mechanics, which we'll also go through. So even though they're a new company, they've only got one other game, which is this one, The Towers of Arkanos. It was a fairly small Kickstarter. I think it did like about $60,000 or something. And then Chronicles of Drunagor, the first one, did 500 and something thousand. And now this one, we're currently at $1.345 million, and it's going up quite quickly still. I've been watching it all day today, just as I've gone through all the things in the game. So let's just talk quickly about the game itself. It's a dungeon crawler, and there's tons of miniatures depending on what pledge you get, exactly right. It's a dungeon crawler. It's got magic and classes and abilities and just all kinds of, it's a medieval dungeon crawler. Here's all the reviews. This right here I wanted to talk about. This is an add-on. It's an add-on that you can't even get with the all-in. Part of, what makes the campaign confusing is that there's a bunch of stuff that's not in the all-in, even though it says all-in, and you can miss out on the stretch goals. Anyways, we'll get to that. Make sure you stick around until that part. It took me a while to figure out, but I got a good handle on it now. I am a backer, just so you know. I only pledged $1. I'll explain why. I'll explain exactly why. So we've got the Death Horseman. This is one of the most insane minis I've ever seen in my entire life, I think. I'm not a huge minis guy, though, so maybe all you war gamers out there are like, whatever, it's not that good. I think it looks amazing. It's huge. It's 25 millimeters. It's part of the 4 Horsemen add-on pledge, and I just thought it was, really, really interesting. So if we go here to pledge levels, we've got the new content. So this is Apocalypse Adventures. This is the reprint. This is the original. This is $16 more than the last campaign. I don't know why, but it's $16 more. The original of this, which this is a reprint, and there are some changes coming to this. And I'll talk about it a little bit later about some of the major changes, but there are, essentially rebalancing and tweaking of mechanics in this reprint so that, the game is a little bit better balanced and runs a little bit smoother. I love that, but just so you know, it is $16 more. Here's the all-in, and we'll talk about that in a minute as well. So I want to talk about some of the mechanics in the game, And just so you've got an idea of kind of how it works, it's got some really cool, unique mechanics that I thought, were really, really awesome. And also, you can play this on Tabletop Simulator. Just go into the workshop and type in Chronicles of Drunagor, and you can find it, and you can test it out there if you want to play it before you actually buy it, so that you've got a better idea whether or not it's something that you will like. First, I want to talk about the action cubes. So action cubes are, how you do your special abilities and stuff. We've got melee, ranged, agility, wisdom. We've got other status cubes. And essentially what you do is you've got a pool of actions and you expend the cubes to do different things. You can, if your hero loses all their health, you can take a trauma cube and assign it to one of your available skills. That skill is blocked. So essentially when you do some of these things, when you rest, it's called recalling. You actually block off abilities with these cubes. And so as you're progressing through the game and you're using abilities and you're having to rest, aka recall, you're actually blocking certain abilities. So there's a lot of interesting tactical decisions as to what abilities you're going to block with the cube system. It kind of reminds me somewhat of Gloomhaven, where you've got to make hard choices about what abilities you're going to carry forward in the rest of the adventure. Now, there is a big difference between this and Gloomhaven. I'll talk about it in the things I don't like. But, even though they're similar in that way, they're, drastically different in some others. The next one I want to talk about is the door system. This is my favorite mechanic. Essentially what you do is you set up a map and you've got these little foldable pieces of paper that are setups for the next rooms. And essentially what you do is you fold them up and they look like a door and you actually slot them into the terrain. And when you do that, once you actually go through the door, then you load up the next room. So the next rooms are hidden and you don't have to go flipping around, looking through a scenario book or anything like that. The room is set up right there. You can change the difficulty of the room. I just thought it was really, really cool. It's one of the things that drew me to the game. Also, this terrain here, it's hard to tell right here. I'll probably throw up a graphic. James, remember to throw up a graphic. The terrain is 3D. And that's actually incorporated into how you move. You can take damage from going down. There's a lot of different things that happen because it's actually, got some verticality to it. I don't know how many games are out there like that. I mean, it's not the first game to have ever done it, but in dungeon crawlers, they're generally on a flat surface, and so that's also quite useful. And another cool, unique mechanic is the darkness. The darkness spawns, and it actually starts coming after you when you're playing the adventure. So you've got to be careful. You've got to keep moving, and it can, do a bunch of different things. There's a lot of rules on it clearly here. And just so you know, in this new reprint, in the Age of Darkness, the Apocalypse adventure, they've revamped the darkness so that it's better, it's stronger, it does more things, and it's more of a threat than it was in the original game. Because in the original game, maybe it wasn't quite, where it needed to be mechanics-wise. So right here, you can see it deals 2 points of damage to a hero that was caught, stepped in, or ended its turn on top of a darkness tile or map. Blah, blah, blah. It can imposes a penalty of -2 to hit. It gives a +1 damage boost to all monsters that are adjacent or on top of it. And so it's got quite a few effects to make things tougher on you. And it's just, it's another one of the unique mechanics that I thought was really cool. And this game has a ton of that. Very rarely have I seen a game get this much positive buzz. And again, 9.1 on Chronicles of Drunagor, the original, on Board Game Geek. And it's got a decent amount of ratings. 355 is not a ton, but a lot of the reviewers I watch, like Quackalo, Board Game Co., etc. I watch On Tabletop. I watch John Gets Games. I watch Rolling Solo. The list goes on. All of these guys are saying this game is awesome. Every review I've looked at is, mostly filled with positive things. And that is a very, very good sign. And clearly the buzz that's been generated here, with its $1.3 million, I mean, there's got to be something here, right? There's got to be something here. So let's talk about what I like about the game. So, first of all, like I said, positive reviews. That is the good. There's a ton of positive reviews, and this game is going to hold its value. I guarantee it. I guarantee it with the level of miniatures and the quality, it's going to hold its value. So it's not a massive risk, although it does cost a lot of money. We'll get to that. Spoiler alert, that's in the bad. So, yes, good positive reviews. Everybody's liking it. That rarely happens from what I've seen. Next, it's got all of these unique mechanics. I know I just talked through them. And it's got this 4 Horseman pledge with some of the most epic minis I've seen in quite a while. And so that is a definite bonus. If you like unique mechanics and you like a lot of, interlocking systems, I think you're really going to like this game. They've got new upgrade paths. They've got tons of powers and abilities and items and you name it. It's in here. Like the amount of content is... I mean, it's ridiculous. Heroes, have their own powers. They have a full board. Monsters have cards that now flip over, so they've got more AI options. The minis are just they're ridiculous. I think they're amazing. I hope they actually look this good. All kinds of different cards. I really like the tiles, too. The tiles are very thematic, and they're way better than something like Gloomhaven's, kind of fairly generic tiles. I really like these tiles. It's got a huge campaign. It's got these interaction books. These are really neat because they're essentially kind of like a choose your own adventure. You're exploring like a room or whatever, and you go to these, numbers in the book based upon your decisions. And it just adds another RPG layer. To me, this is one of the closest games that I've seen to something like Dungeons and Dragons. It's really got a Dungeons and Dragons feel, and I love that. I mean, I come from a Dungeons and Dragons background, and I played a lot of D&D back in the day, and a lot of other stuff too. GURPS, Riffs, fighting fantasy books, you name it. I've played a lot of it, especially the stuff from the 90s, because that's when I was a teenager. It's so long ago, and I was a teenager in the 90s, the early 90s as well. That's kind of crazy. Let's see. Oh, here's the 3D tile. I'm not going to put a graphic there. Maybe I will. I'll probably forget because I'll edit this later. 3D tiles, though, so that the tiles aren't 3D, but you set them in these plastic inserts that are 3D, and it creates verticality, and that changes what you do. And here's a good look at the folding doors as well. They've even got a QR code on them, which is really interesting as well for those of you that, like using the technology aspect. And another good point, the darkness has been revised. And it's more dangerous, it's more threatening, etc. And I think it really needed that based upon the feedback that I've seen about the game. So, and again, don't just remember, you can go to Tabletop Simulator. You can go to Tabletop Simulator and try this out to see if it's really for you. And I mean, it's fairly simple to get going. So go and try that. If you're on the fence, go and try it. And just so you, I am not affiliated with these guys at all. If anybody from Chronicles of Drunagor watched this video, reach out to me. I wouldn't mind working with you guys, but I have no affiliation to them. They don't even know I exist as far as I know. Okay, let's get to the bad. First, the difficulty. One of the main gripes about this game is that the first one was not very hard. And to me, that is huge. I need a difficult game. So I'm hoping that, they've streamlined it. Streamlined isn't the right word. I hope they've tweaked it so that when you're playing on the difficult level, it's actually difficult. I don't care if there's a regular standard mode and then there's a difficult mode. I don't have to have the base difficulty level be hard, but I need it to be difficult. I'm playing Gloomhaven on the hardest difficulty. I play video games on the hardest difficulty. I play everything on hard. I need things to be difficult because when I get interested in something, my brain strategizes on it constantly, all day long, through meals, at night, at dinner. I'm theory crafting in my head. And as I do that, I understand the game really well, and I need it to be difficult or I get bored. If it's too easy, it's not enough for me that the mechanics are interesting and, it's just, no challenge. Because when you have challenge, it forces you to think really hard and be really into what's happening. I've talked too much. Hopefully, the difficulty is being properly addressed, but one of the negatives of this game is that it was too easy. The next, it costs a lot. It costs a lot. It is very expensive. The all-in is, let's go to the all-in here and just see. It was $339, right? But the all-in is not really the all-in, and this is going to be the bad. This is not really all-in. Word of warning to all of you. If you buy this, you will not get any of the stretch goals. You also need to buy Apocalypse Adventures right here. So even though this is all in, it's reprint all in. There's a ton of comments looking for clarification on this, and it's not obvious unless you're really paying attention. This is just the original reprint. It has nothing to do with this. If you just back this, you're not even going to get any of the stretch goals. The stretch goals are tied to Apocalypse Adventures. So if we add in the all-in reprint, Apocalypse Adventures, and the Horseman pledge, we're looking at $523 US. If you add in the other unlocks, I'm going to scroll down to them here. These are all new content unlocks. If you add all this stuff in, you're looking at $626.99. For some reason, the coin is priced at $4.99 instead of $5. I don't know why. If anyone has a theory on that, make sure and let me know. And if this video is being helpful to you, please go ahead and like it so that other people who are looking for information on the Chronicles of Drunagor, they can see this. It helps YouTube promote the video. And also, I've got a Patreon. I've got all kinds of cool exclusive benefits in my Patreon. There's going to be a link down in the pinned comment. Make sure you go ahead and check it out and come and play games with me on Tabletop Simulator. And also I do a lot of campaign plays for Gloomhaven and other dungeon crawler-ish type of games with a little bit of, Euros and other things thrown in. But I have exclusive campaign plays on there that will not be anywhere else. It's raw, it's unedited, it's my thoughts, it's me playing a game and talking about my strategies and rambling on. Hopefully, it's interesting, but they won't be put anywhere else, so make sure and check them out. So we've got a very expensive game, and you know that once this Kickstarter campaign closes and it goes to the pledge manager, there's going to be an even more expensive all-in. So that would be a drawback to me, is that it is just outrageously expensive. You don't have to spend that much money. If you just get the two pledges, the 115 plus the 95, you're looking at 200 US. But by the time you get into it, maybe you're looking at 250 US. I don't know. I don't know exactly what shipping is going to be during COVID, but you're going to be looking at quite a bit of money. And with those two pledges, you're getting like standees of the Horseman. So you're looking at $250. You're not even getting the Horseman miniatures, stuff like that. Although, the Horsemen do look amazing, but it is $89 for 4 minis. Anyways, it's very expensive, and it's just, it's outrageous. So make sure, Apocalypse Adventure, you want the stretch goals? You must back the Apocalypse Adventures. This reprint ain't gonna get it done for you. Next, I've got a little bit of a trick. On here, on Kickstarter, normally they've got a pledge level for $1 where you can access the pledge manager so that you can, have time to really research the game, or maybe you're short on funds. On this channel, I have a certain budget that, I have exceeded. I'm buying Storm Sunder. And yes, for anyone who watches my videos, I did choose Storm Sunder over Wild Descent. I still haven't actually physically clicked the button, but I just upped my 7th Citadel pledge by $100 and added in, you know, all of the expansion packs and stuff like that. And I'm backing ISS Vanguard. I'm backing all kinds of stuff. I've got Frosthaven. I've got Darkest Dungeon. I've got Tanaris Adventures all-in pledge with all the dragon miniatures and everything. That's like $500-600. I've got Stars of Ikarios. So my budget, what I'm saying is my budget is pretty much extended. So I put in for $1, and this is the trick. Okay, you go down, you show your support. Even though it says here for no reward, they have promised in the comments and been verified that this $1 pledge will get you access to the pledge manager, and the prices will be the same as the Kickstarter. So my tip to you, if you're short on funds right now, or you have a reason you don't want to back, but you want to make sure and get in on all the Kickstarter stuff and the stretch goals and blah, 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 you just pledge $1 like I did, and then you're going to get access to it, and it's not going to cost you a cent. And there is no shame in doing that. That's what I did just because of my situation. Hopefully that was helpful. And thank you so much for watching, and a special thank you to all my subscribers. I wouldn't be here without you.